Hi, it's Robyn Fritz. Can anyone hear me? This is my first live video. The practical, intuitive, mind, body, spirit for the real world. We're live in Seattle, Washington. I'm trying to give you a view of me and my crystal Fallon at the same time. It's kind of half and half here. So welcome. Happy to chat with people, still figuring out the platform, and loving being associated with Om Times magazine and their experts platform. And I'll try to figure out comments here, questions, whatever. But this is Coffee and Cosmos with Robyn, my first Facebook Live. And that flash of light here, you can see, this is Fallon, the citrine Lemurian quartz. You know, your life is very interesting when new things show up. I'm also here live with my reincarnated animals, my Cavalier King Charles Spaniel, Ollie, and Karis, the Russian blue kitten. I'm trying to, let me see if I can convince her to join us. So for those of you who are looking to experiment and just create a happy life on the planet, we have so many opportunities. But the thing that shows up a lot in my practice, and I'm an intuitive and spiritual consultant and a past life regression specialist, oops, there she goes, is that we don't really realize that we're all intuitives and healers. Let's see if you can see. So I'm working on my laptop here. We'll figure this out as time goes on. But this is the biggest question that comes up in my practice. Well, maybe not the biggest question, but an important one, because people say, well, I think I'm intuitive. Maybe I'm intuitive. Well, I think I had a hit. And the fact is, this is something you should develop self-confidence about, because intuition really is a skill that we all have, and we just have been discouraged from using it because it seems, adjust your camera, we see part of you. I know, I'm trying to figure that out. How's that, Carol? I'm trying to show me and my crystal Fallon, and all you see is my desk, or my bookcase there. We'll figure this out as time goes on. So I'm here for questions live today, you know, issues, concerns, your thoughts about the world and what's going on. Let me see if I can see the other comments. Great, so you're sharing the video, I appreciate that. The greatest problem I think that all of us have is that we lack self-love, and I learned this the hard way. Thanks, Christine. I appreciate it. You know, I work, as I said, I work as an intuitive and spiritual consultant and past life regression specialist. It isn't something I was planning on when I went through college and got an MBA in business management, or the years that I worked in publishing, but I became handicapped, and I struggled for years to get well. And as I did that, I had a lot of time as basically a hermit, even though I live in Seattle, Washington. So I learned the hard way how to tap my intuition and how to explore healing. Hi, Maria. And I ended up dedicating my life to helping people find their way to love easier and faster than I did. And I get a little emotional about that, because I didn't used to think love was that important. And I think it was because I was handicapped and ill for many years. For those of you who are suffering physically or emotionally, I know where you're coming from. And I know that you can tap your greatness by, well, maybe letting it go, but also looking at it and going, this isn't a punishment from some divine being. This isn't a lesson that I'm learning. Thank you. Um, it isn't a lesson I'm learning. It's just what happened in my life, and I made the best of it. And fortunately for me, I have a very peculiar sense of humor. And as I said yesterday in my show, which you can join us Mondays, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern at home times, the practical, intuitive mind, body, spirit for the real world. As I said yesterday, you work hard through a disability, years and years. I mean, I wasn't capable of working for 15 years. Hi, Susanna. And the people who come to me that are looking for meaning in their life, you are all so incredibly awesome. And you need to believe that about yourself. Vicky says, my husband and I meant to be going to a music concert in London Saturday. We have an autistic worry. Okay, so Vicky and her husband have an autistic son, and they're worried about something happening to both of you. Was there a question for me in that? I don't blame you. London is having issues right now. We're having issues all over the world. And remember, the people who are creating these issues are people who really don't understand love. Can we stop them because they don't understand love? I think yes. I think we can say to them, we love you and we accept you, and what can we do to help you? And reaching out across the barriers of ethnic barriers, country barriers, that's something that I really learned a lot about, ironically, by living and creating a family with animals. And going out when I was a hermit, when I was ill for so long, and learning to actually talk with all life. And that's the mindset that I created called planetary connection, where it's actually true that everything is alive and has a soul, and a responsibility to contribute to the planet and the universe, has rights and has attitudes, whether they're terrorists, whether they're animals, whether they're trees, hurricanes, earthquakes, all of those beings are alive. And Vicky, yes, I don't know how many of you are actually connecting with us from England today, but I'm in Seattle, Washington, in the United States of America, and you are part of us and we are part of you. I mean, that's not just the world, that's a long, many years of being comrades and friends and partners in the world, standing up for truth and for love. And we do it in strange ways in warfare, but I'm sorry, I'm only scrolling some of this. But if you're worried about going to the concert and you have a son, hit the volume button on your laptop or your smartphone, Carol. They're the practicalities. Who do you have as a guardian for your son? And where do you go from there? I mean, most accidents, for example, happen close to home. So I've never been in a terrorist attack, but I've been mauled on the street by a loose dog with my dog. So things happen wherever you are, and I think it's a really sad commentary on our times that people have to feel worried about going out and enjoying themselves. But isn't that what they wanted? Because these people are leading sad lives, they want the rest of us to live that way too, with guns, with walls up, and that's not how we create love in the world. That's not how we create good times. And that's really not how we develop ourselves as intuitives and healers. So each of you has the ability to tap in to your own intuitive ability and your own healing ability. And here's a thing for those of you who are worried about the attacks. This is actually an energy healing technique, if you will, that I learned from a goddess. And this goddess, I call her Connie, and thank you, Michelle. That's not a real name. Apparently that's the name I called her as a child, and I'm kind of very stubborn about what I believe and don't believe in. So when Connie first showed up in my office, the day I was preparing for my first space clearing years ago, I'm used to beings showing up here because that's what I do. I work with beings between dimensions. And she showed up and she looked at me and I look at her and I'm like, okay, so hello, who are you? And she said, I am a goddess. And being kind of a jerk sometimes, I looked at her and I said, oh, honey, I'm sorry. I don't believe in gods and goddesses. And she just got this smirk on her face and she said, well, nevertheless, I am a goddess. And she put me in my place and she was correct. And for those of you who are worried about what's happening in the world, let me show you this technique. You put your hands, cross your hands on your heart. Okay, see if I can figure out. I seem to get further away. There we go. I'm trying to work around my printer. Put your hands on your heart. Okay. This is the energy healing technique taught to me by a goddess who works with multiple planets. Okay, so I think she knows what she's doing. Hands on your hearts. Take a deep breath. Breathe in all love and peace and courage, because you're so beautifully courageous and loving. And as you breathe that, you're breathing in the energy of the universe, and breathe it into your palms of your hands, and then hold it out to the world, just like that. And as you do that, you're not manipulating or changing energy. You're simply offering it to the world for the world to do with it as it is. It's not a judgment call on your part. It's just an offering. Then breathe again into your hands and put your hands on your heart. So what you've done is grounded the energy back into yourself. When I was experimenting with this technique with friends, we discovered we needed to put the hands back on our hearts to get us grounded back in our bodies, because your crown chakra can be wide open. So I end each of my radio shows. My first one was yesterday with that energy healing technique. It's really very powerful and it works. So one of the things I'd like to mention to you today is the thing that shocked me the most when I first got it. Well, maybe not shocked me the most, because there were a lot of shocking things, but one of the things that surprised me was that I was born and raised Catholic, and we were taught about guardian angels and Michael Archangel and all of that, but we weren't taught anything else, and we were taught to, ask your guardian angel for help. And when I first met people in the intuitive community who were spiritually minded, they mentioned spirit guides to me and said, well, I was going for an appointment with a psychic, and she said, oh, your spirit guides and all of these people have been talking to me all day long, and they said this and that. And I swear, my brain just flipped upside down. I thought that, the world was standing on end. I had no idea what this person was talking about. And I learned that when you're being practical in the world, when you're using your intuition, when you're using your natural healing ability, when you're getting up in the morning, getting the family ready to go to work, to school, or feeding your animals as I do, walking the dog, it's all part of connecting to the world. And one of our most important benefits in that is working with our spiritual team. And whatever religion or mindset you come from, you have a spiritual team member most of us have many spiritual team members. And I call them spirit guides because that's kind of what a lot of people, the term that a lot of people understand. And next Thursday, June 15th, I'll be doing a paid webinar with Om Times at the Learn It Live platform. I will put a note out on this page and on other pages, but Om Times does a remarkable job of promoting these. But we're going to be doing a webinar on what spirit guides are, how they work in the world, and Lloyd, I'm going to get back to your comment in a second. How the spirit guides work in the world and how you can work with them, because as a matter of fact, your spirit guides can't do anything unless you ask them for help. And sometimes they need help themselves. Sometimes they're learning. Sometimes they're not up to the task that we need. And sometimes we need different guides for different tasks. When I sit down to work on a writing project, my muses come in, and muses are real. Who knew muses were real and not just part of our imagination? So Lloyd, I put my hands on my heart and repeat, heal and relax, and I believe my subconscious communicates on a microcellular level to my body to make me better physically. That's great. That's awesome. I believe that's true. I believe your natural healing ability is also coming in there. Does that mean that, we can keep ourselves from getting the flu or something else? No. I personally spent the first 3 months of this year with a severe case of the flu and 2 rounds of bronchitis. So, nothing's perfect, but I do believe that this healing technique does help us, and it's part of like a daily ritual. I see other comments here. This is like okay. Christine, I live 30 miles north of London. I'm sorry, I'm not getting all of this. My son was working a mile from the attack. I don't think it has been mentioned in the press. Many churches of all religions opened their doors, and Londoners offered help and support. Some offered their couches for those who could not get home. Lots of cup of tea were given. That's true. You're saying it brought out the best in the Londoners, and that is true. That is true in times of crisis. Wherever you are, there are more good people than bad people in the world. The bad people get all the press. But I was in London a number of years ago, traveling by myself, and in England and Wales and Scotland. And they're the friendliest, most remarkable people, very generous, very interested in other people, and that's the way it should be. And I'm very grateful to all of you for not giving in to the fear and for reaching out and helping your neighbors. The closest I can relate to that is all of the people on Facebook who poured out to help me after my dog and I were so severely injured 3 years ago. Complete strangers. And one person offered to come and do something, and I said, excuse me, I don't know you. And she said, of course you do. You're Facebook friends with my cousin on the East Coast. Isn't that remarkable? Isn't it remarkable that we can connect here at Om Times Magazine, and we can share, and we can make each other feel better, and we can laugh together, and we can learn and grow together? Technology's done remarkable things, and hopefully next week it'll be even more remarkable. There, okay. So here you go. This is Fallon, the Citrine Lemurian Quartz. And for London, for all of you in Great Britain, for all of you who love good people all over the world, take a moment and focus on him. And I'm a very practical person, and he's an ancient power crystal who popped into my life, and I've been partners with him through many lifetimes. So the world is more remarkable than we know, and more fascinating and more fun. But if you just want to gaze into Fallon and allow that, he's a citrine Lemurian quartz, so he looks pretty clear on my end of the video. But if you allow that gold healing light from him to go straight into your heart and just breathe that in and allow it to just flow through your body, and notice that with each beat of your heart it's flooding your body with love and warmth. And if you're afraid to let something in, just, tap into it intuitively. But you'll feel, it depends on how your intuition works. Fallon is very chatty. He talks with people. He'll wake you up in the middle of the night to say something. If you're more of a feeling person, you'll feel the energy. If you're a knowing person intuitively, you'll just know that the energy of Fallon is with you in this time. You may see pictures, even here on a video. I have a lot of people that see pictures. And he's kind of heavy, so I'm going to put him down. And I'll try to figure out next week how to raise him up a little bit more so that you can see it. But the world is really an awesome place. And yes, Vicky, I do believe there are more good people than bad, but my son is different and his first response is fear. It's hard not to blame him. It's hard. I know after 9/11 here, so many years ago, there were so many people who were so terrified. I was one of the last people to hear about it. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. We have a Statue of Liberty down on the beach here. I live in Seattle. I live on Alki Beach, Salty, Puget Sound. And there's a small Statue of Liberty there that was erected by the Boy Scouts years and years ago. And I was down at the beach that morning, beautiful September morning, and I couldn't figure out where all the flowers were coming from. What was everybody doing? And yet, that brought the people of the United States together in a way that we haven't been in a long time. But what people are forgetting is that it brought the world together too. Tragedy and anger bring us together in love, and that's what the world is all about. And I am, in many ways, the last person to talk about love, because I didn't believe in it for a long time. We're getting close to the end of my half hour here, but let me tell you a little bit about what I know about love. First, I work with the dead. I'm a medium. I do animal communication. I do space clearing. I teach. I work with people on their energy boundaries. I do past life regression. I use shamanic techniques. I do energy healing. And it's my dad who got me to be a medium, and my dad's been dead since 1994. And we'll go into that in other radio shows and other Facebook Live things. But my dad came to me and asked me to be a medium because he wanted me to help a category of the dead that a lot of people don't believe in. And I call them the stuck dead. These are people who have died and who have not made it to the afterlife for one reason or another. Now, for a lot of people, it's just, they go to a place I call the gray zone. It's not a bad place. It's not limbo. There is nothing in the afterlife that corresponds to religion as any of us understand religious traditions. It's just a place where the denser energies that come with being in a body have time to slough off so that the lighter part of them, their basic soul level part, can then move on to the afterlife. But it's also a place where people wake up and they're afraid. And they're afraid to move on. They're afraid to take a step because it doesn't look like what they were expecting. And they think that they're going to hell. And the reality is, and I'm writing a book about this, the reality is that they didn't love themselves enough when they were alive, and so they're not loving themselves enough when they're dead. And loving yourself means taking charge. It means taking charge of your fear and taking charge of your love. I don't follow a particular tradition, but I do totally agree with people like Marianne Williamson who say there's only two things in the world, love and fear. And that is true. And I had much fear in my life through illness and through disability and learning to live with limitations that come with that. But I also learned to love. I learned that from my animal family. I watched them just be themselves and accept me for who I am. So loving yourself is the most important thing. And when you do that, you find that you're capable of going out and loving other people and accepting them at whatever place they're at. And when you're looking at a terrorist or someone who's so full of hate they're willing to kill themselves and other people, we can't understand that. And all we can say is, we love you, we send you love, and we hope you change what you're doing in the world. But we're coming to the end of my time today. I welcome questions. My name is Robyn Fritz, and maybe I didn't say that at the beginning. So my name is Robyn Fritz, Robyn Fritz. You can find my personal page at Facebook. You can find my business page at The Practical Intuitive, Robyn M. Fritz. I would love it if you went to that page, if you liked it, to help me grow my business. If you put comments there on what you would like to cover in these weekly videos, I'd be delighted to respond to that. You can also private message me if you're shy. You can email me at Robyn, ROBYN, at robynfritz.com. That's ROBYNFRITZ.com. But I'm here every week at Home Times Radio's Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. I have no idea what time that is in London, but they replay it 3 times a week. Send questions, send comments. I'll do free, brief, intuitive readings and healings on air live. You're welcome to contribute and pop in with whatever you're interested in. Next Friday, we're going to talk about spirit guides. What's up with spirit, or Thursday, June 15th, 12 p.m. Pacific. What's up with spirit guides? Who they are, how they work, how we can work with them, how we can monitor them, how we can change our guides if we need to. What that means. It's not an easy thing. And we're going to do a guided meditation so you can actually meet a spirit guide who's there working with you. Because everybody has at least one. Most of us have a number. July we'll be doing working and healing with crystals. That'll be fun. And in August we're doing animal communication. Future ones will be reincarnation, all of those kinds of topics. So send me your questions for topics. Thank you for being here with me today at my first Facebook Live with Home Times. Well, first Facebook Live ever. Again, here's Fallon. We're wishing you all good health, good intuition, good healing for the week. We will see you next Monday on the show. Next Tuesday, I will not be here at Facebook Live. I booked this after I made other appointments, but I'll be here every Tuesday. Thank you for joining me.